Boyfriend and I planned to move in together, but he chose his friend over me. My boyfriend used to live with his sister in an apartment that his mom is paying for. Since he is still currently in school and does not have a full-time job, please do not judge his current financial situation. Now that his sister has moved out, he would be living alone. So I asked him if I could come move in with him, and he was hesitant at first, because his mom told him that if he gets a roommate, he can pocket all the money that the roommate would pay for the rent. He told me that he wants a roommate because it would be a good opportunity for him to get some pocket change. For a while now, he asked his friends if anyone wanted to move in with him, and all his friends said no. He told his friends that if they ever changed their minds, to let him know. After a couple months, no one wanted to move in with him. So I asked if I could move in with him, and he's like, well, because no one seems to be willing to live with me, you can come move in. He also told me that he has always wanted to move in with me and live together, and it would make things a lot easier for us. I was excited because he's always busy with school and has a lot on his plate, so we barely get to see each other. We planned everything out already, our boundaries, rules, what I could bring, and the date when I will be moving in. We have been planning this for 2 months already. But one of his friends reached out to him yesterday, 2 weeks before I move in, and told him that he wants to move in. My boyfriend told me that his best friend is going to move in with him instead and would be paying more money for rent. I was livid, and I felt devastated, and I was overall really upset because I have already planned everything out and it was a life-change event to me. I told him that it wasn't fair for me and I felt like he was choosing his friend over me. He responded with, "It's my apartment, it's my decision. There is little to no compromise here." I felt really betrayed and scared for the future because I already felt unprioritized when it came to his friends. And him moving with his friends would make it even worse, and he would have even less time with me. He told me that in his defense, he already told me that he wanted a roommate because he needed the money. I asked him if he even included me in his decision-making when he was talking it over with his friend about how everything would plan out if he moves in, and he told me that I did not pop up in his mind because he tunnel-visioned and was focused on other stuff. He also never even mentioned to my friend that he already agreed for me to move in before he said anything. That got me really upset and angry. I told him that I don't feel like he cares about me. I asked him if he even wanted me to move in with him, and he told me that he really wanted me to move in and was really excited for me to, but to me it didn't seem like it. He told me from 1 to 10, it would be an 8 on how much he wanted me to move in. We argued about it for hours, and in the end he told me he didn't want to talk about it anymore and that I am being very selfish and not thinking about his perspective. He told me that if he didn't care, he wouldn't even have talked about the whole moving situation with me. And that he regrets it because now he feels extremely overwhelmed and stressed out. I can't tell if I'm being unreasonable or not. Comment. TBH, he never sounded all that interested in moving with you in the first place. You kept bringing it up and he never once offered. You possibly put him on the spot because he would feel like saying no to you in the situation would be detrimental to your relationship. I think he was desperately looking for a way out and found one. I think you should have an honest talk with him if ever was ready to move in with you, and specifically say that you won't get angry if he says no. I don't know how long you guys have been dating, but if it's shorter than a year or 2, living together is a perfectly okay thing to have some reservations about. Oh dear, he is just not that into you. Sorry. At 27, he should have offered you to move in first. He could have even asked you, "Darling, I really want you to move in with me. Sorry to ask you, but I need some rent money, so do you mind paying me some rent?" Instead he put money and his mate above you. Sorry, but actions speak louder than words. He is either immature or just still a boy. Whatever the reason, you are way down the pecking order. This is not a man who prioritizes you, or loves you more than half-heartedly. He gets plenty of money from his mom and could easily afford to live with you, if that was what he wanted. You're trying to make a commitment with a man who's treating you as dispensable with. He's not bothered about reneging on your deal because he knows you won't break up with him for treating you like a fool. Grow a spine. This man doesn't care about you enough to even be honest with you. You should end this relationship and find someone who actually loves you. Why are you begging to move in with someone that clearly doesn't want you to move in? I think you're looking at this from tunnel vision yourself. He has made no effort or given you any indication that he wants you there. Don't beg to be in people's life, you deserve better. Moving in is a big deal, and him telling you 2 weeks before you're set he's changed his mind is a big red flag. This reads like two 17-year-olds. My daughter for sure wouldn't allow anyone to treat her like a second option. Take a step back and see how much he puts into this relationship. I bet you find you're doing the heavy lifting. Please do things for yourself, build your self-worth, cause he sounds like a teenage boy. Which is fine, just don't string someone along. Believe people when they show you who you are. Next story 2. What do I do after I find out my BF has been lying behind my back? So me and my boyfriend have been having a pretty rocky patch in our over 1-year relationship. I'm extremely insecure and usually ask he please tell me when he goes out and what he was doing. For reference, we live together and have lived together for a year now. His friends are weird people, including work friends, and they usually spent most their time doing drugs and clubbing. I have never been one to tell my BF he couldn't go out, as long as he was responsible and he give me updates throughout the night. He has struggled with this for months. It was always extremely hard for him to tell me, and when he didn't I would check his location and lo and behold he was either at the casino or club. Although that may seem wrong, I trust this man with my life. He would never lay a hand on any other woman or cheat. Ever. That is until I lost all my trust for him and respect after finding out from a complete stranger that he lied to me for months and didn't bother telling me, because he knew I would be upset. He had invited me to his co-worker's house to celebrate his birthday. After meeting that co-worker's girlfriend, we got to talking about each other. She then mentions, OMG, remember when they both went to the strip club and their boss paid for lap dances all night? My heart sank. I had never heard of this before. She mentioned this had happened about 2 months ago after a game. The same day he had come home and told me that all he did was go for a drink and come back home right away. I had gotten so sick from this information I was shaking and felt like throwing up. I kept my cool for about an hour until I decided I needed to go home alone, but needed to confront him first. I asked if he had gone that night, and he flat out denied ever going, or that there was ever a strip club. I asked 2 more times, where I could tell he was thinking of how to lie with how long it took him to answer my question, and then proceeded to sigh and take me to the other room and say, okay fine, I did go, but I knew you would be mad, so I didn't bother telling you. I told him he fucked up and walked home, where I turned off my location to find him following behind me, ducking into bushes so I wouldn't see him. I told him I wouldn't be going home if he was, and either one of us can find somewhere else to stay. He then proceeded to also turn off his location and I haven't heard from him since. What should I do? And is this considered cheating? Comment. It's considered cheating to you. You decided that based on your actions. Time to move on. Is it considered cheating? That is whatever your relationship rules are. He either didn't think they were or didn't care enough about the relationship to exercise some self-discipline and not go there. In our relationship, wife and I allow each other a lot of latitude, but we also know what is within our boundaries and what is not. Next relationship, you might want to see what you're okay with and what you're not and make those clear before you move in together. If he couldn't even be honest with you when it happened, he obviously knew he was in the wrong, and the fact that someone else had to tell you is bad as well. It is up to you what you would tolerate, but once the trust is gone it's really hard to gain back. You will always be second guessing his whereabouts if he's telling the truth. It will play a big part with your mental health. I would suggest walking away and work on yourself, build your self-esteem back up and set firm boundaries for your next relationship.